Okay, if you remember from last week, we were looking at task 1. And task 1 asks you to produce your presentation on PowerPoint with supporting notes in which you detail how external factors can impact on the business environment. And it's describing a range of external factors, explaining why business organisations choose to carry out a pestle analysis, describe the 3-step crisis management procedure, and identify factors which contribute towards environmental damage. And then explain how factors contribute to our environmental damage can be minimised, and how a lack of care of the environment can affect a business's profitability and reputation. So
I haven't done the last point.
You've only got the last one to do.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
and then for the merit and for the distinction, I haven't done yet as well.
Yeah. The bits on there, for looking at the reputation, this is quite a new phenomenon, and it's been mainly caused by social media. People now have access to other people who have dealt with a company. They can find information about that company very quickly. And I don't know whether you remember, last year it was, Starbucks were pulled up by not paying the correct amount of tax to UK. And not just UK, but other countries that we're in. They were avoiding tax and funneling what tax they did pay back to America. And it had a very detrimental effect absolutely within a week. The sales dropped off noticeably. It's recovered since because people have short memories, but that's the sort of thing. Anything that can affect the environment or can affect how people feel about a company can impact very quickly nowadays on the business through the use of social media. People from across the world can speak to each other now, where before that wasn't possible. So yeah, that environmental impact can have an extremely detrimental effect. And of course it works the other way. If they're known to be an ethical company and help the environment, and any news of what they do in that fact can affect, again, their reputation. People think, yeah, they're great. So that was the first part, and if that's the only bit you've got left to do now, you've done very well. On the extension activities, are you going to attempt these?
Yeah.
Yeah, go. Okay, yeah. Well, again, you need to complete a pestle analysis. I mean, now you've gone through that on the earlier PowerPoint, you probably, understand what you need to put into that. And then you choose an organisation that you're going to do a pestle analysis on. And it needs to be an organisation where you can get the information easily, or all the public information is in the public domain, sorry. So it's important that you pick one that you can get the information for. Yeah? To go for a distinction, you prepare 3 leaflets which the chamber is going to be able to use and which are going to be displayed in reception. Make recommendations for dealing with external opportunities and challenges facing a national organisation that you've chosen. Evaluate how your chosen organisation has managed a specific crisis, and make recommendations to a chosen organisation how to reduce their environmental impact. And again, usually, I mean, it's purely up to you who you choose, but quite often supermarkets are ideal because the bags of information about them, you can, find out very easily on the net what they've got and how they are dealing with things, any difficulties they've had. All of those are usually available quite easily on the net. So it's just a good way of finding that information out. But if you've got another organisation who you can get that from and you're more familiar with it, then that's fine, no problem at all. It's any of your choice. So you're quite happy with what you need to do for those now, yeah?
Yep.
Good. Task 2, moving on, is our Chamber of Commerce has asked you to produce a booklet on marketing that can be distributed to small businesses in the local area. The booklet must include the following: an explanation of the function of marketing and how it is different from selling. Do you know the difference between marketing and selling?
Yeah.
Good. That saves me a bother. A lot of people don't understand the difference between the two, but marketing is in the advertising section. It's not actually advertising. Well, part of it is advertising, but marketing is putting everything in place to be able to sell. Yeah, and selling, obviously selling. He has asked specifically to add examples here of an explanation of the differences between internal and external data and information, and an explanation of the differences between primary and secondary information. Well, those two run together, actually. Internal and external data is data you get from inside the organisation and how it's used and how it's transferred within the organisation itself. And external data is data that's used from other companies where they benchmark against another company and try to find out what their aims and information is, so that if they're in competition. An explanation of the difference between primary and secondary information. That is similar to when you do research. Primary information is information that you get yourself, and secondary information is one that you pick up from other data, yeah, from elsewhere. From reading, from books, from information, magazines, whatever. Yeah. So that's fairly straightforward on task 2. The marketing booklet is literally PowerPoint. You can use PowerPoint again to put the pages in that format if you wish to do that. But you can also do them in Word format on a page. It's purely up to yourself which way you do that. To gain a merit, you are required to provide additional sections to the booklet to describe the elements of the marketing mix, giving specific examples from an organisation you have selected again, yeah?
Yeah.
And how organisations use the information that has been collected for marketing purposes. To get a distinction, you must choose the business organisation which you are familiar. Using your chosen organisation, you are required to provide an additional section of the booklet that evaluates a specific marketing campaign used by an organisation you have selected. One of the ones that spring to mind, to just give you some ideas, one of the, I can't even remember which one it was now, one of the hotels chains that deal in, one-night stays and things like that, had Lenny Henry advertising their services, but also the fact that they put, I think it was Hypnos beds in as a sort of drawing for people to have a comfortable night, especially business people if they've been working all day. So again, that's just an idea, but that's the sort of thing it's looking for on that.
Right.
Now I'll just put this to one side a minute. There's ample resource on here within this section to look at, I'll give you the ideas on there. Examples of marketing objectives, yeah?
Okay.
Every business plan needs a section, marketing objectives. This is the spot in the business plan where the small business owner details how he's going to move forward, yeah? How he's going to market the new venture, and illustrates why business is a solid choice, yeah? Without proper marketing objectives, finding funding for a business venture of this nature is nearly impossible. Most of the, if you go to any of the, I'll put them down as money supply, it may be a bank, it may be any sort of funding proposition, If you go to them without a solid marketing objective of your good or service, whatever it is, yeah, they'll give you a turn down. They want to see why you are rating it so highly and why you need the money for it. The return on the investment has got to be very clear. And without that marketing plan, how are you going to get there? You know, it's just obvious that they're not going to give you the money. Yeah. So again, when you put those objectives down, they need to be real objectives, realistic objectives, achievable ones. Because anybody can say, "Oh, I want to make £1 million in this next 12 months." Yeah, but how are you going to do it? It's like I've seen sales managers say to the sales team, "Okay, we need to double our turnover in the next section." Without putting additional resources in, there's absolutely no way that's achievable. So if you've got 6 salesmen and they're working at maximum, and you want to double what they do, you need another 6 salesmen, and that's a marketing objective, to start more people so that you can get more work out. So again, realism is absolutely important. So we're looking at this as SMART, if you remember. Realistic, measurable. Again, it's got to be measured. How you know when you get in there, how the pathway towards that goal, how is it to be measured? How do you know whether you're falling short or whether you're going, you're sailing through this, and you need to change your objective. It may need to raise the stakes a little. Yeah. And there's got to be some sort of time limit on it. Yeah. It's got to be over a specific period, yeah, not just sort of, well, we'll try and do it in the next 12 months or something. It needs to be focused, yeah. So your market objectives need to be achieved within a certain amount of time. Like it says on here, I'll make $1 million someday. Including the 4 P's. Now, 4 P's of marketing, you probably, if you've done any marketing work at all, you'll know exactly what those are: product, price, promotion, and place. Each of these 4 things need to be included in your objectives. So, what is the product or service? What is its price? How are you going to promote it? And where is it going to be sold? Is it going to be sold on the street? Is it going to be sold in a shop? Is it going to be sold on the net? You know, there are a whole range of things now in terms of place that it's made it one of the more important P's now. So basically, you're giving all the information, yeah, that you possibly can.
Okay.
Back. Let's go and have a look at this one. These are some examples. So again, marketing plan objectives. Oh, I thought this is what I've just covered, haven't it? Sorry about that. It's the 4 P's. I've gone back on the wrong one. So basically selling is one-to-one communication between a seller. It is one of the most expensive forms of promotion. It's like you could look at one of the cheapest ways of promotion is word of mouth. And this is where, again, social media can come in on this, because people talk to each other across distance now. And if they've had a very good result from an organisation, they're going to tell people about it. And that word of mouth is for nothing. It costs you absolutely nothing. whereas like one-to-one trying to sell something is quite expensive. Examples: personal meetings, telemarketing, emails, and correspondence. So advertising is a form of personal promotion, but it spreads it out. They'll then pay to promote the ideas, goods or services in a variety of media outlets. It can be found everywhere. Advertising, I mean, that above, that picture above is a good example. Advertising everywhere. You met with it on the street, you met with it in your home, on TV, you met with it every time you pick a newspaper up, everything. On the net now, on the net now, one of the big bugbears is that you get a load of advertising all the way down the side. It's got to the point now where you have to pay if you want to go advert less, basically. That can be a good thing in some ways, because you will see things on the net when you're browsing through something else, or even if you're working sometimes. It can be a light relief if something comes on that you're interested in. Well, I hadn't thought about that, and you'll pick something up from there where you wouldn't have actually done anything about it if it'd been left to yourself. So direct marketing, as you know, is through letterbox, the stuff that comes through the door, basically, on a daily basis. One of the It depends on how you look at it. I find it very annoying is that you get cold calling by telephone. They pick a number of people's telephone number up, and then you get these spurious phone calls on a sort of hourly basis sometimes about subjects that you're not even interested in. How they get your number, I don't know, but you can now actually find a way of having those cut out. But they can be a nuisance if you're waiting for a phone call, for instance, and you've got to wait and see who it is, because a lot of this type of marketing, they're done from a centre, which means that when you pick the phone up, there's not an immediate answer. There several seconds go by before somebody answers. The minute you know that, you can put the phone down because it's not something you're interested in, especially if you're waiting for a call or something of that nature. So it can be annoying as well. Sales promotions used to be on regular times throughout the year. There'd be a sale before Christmas. There would be a sale in January of stuff that wasn't sold at Christmas. There'd be a sale at the end of summer of all the summer wear and things like that that were now unsold and now being sold off for a cost, basically, to get rid and to buy new stock in for the autumn and winter. So those are the sort of things that you'll see in terms of sales promotion. Other ones, product samples, coupons, any displays, point of purchase. Sometimes you'll get people at a railway station, or larger ones, will be offering a free try of a bar of this or something of that, or a packet of something. They're absolute point of purchase displays, basically, but you don't have to purchase for those. They'll do just extra advertising as well as getting you to try the sample. Something you perhaps wouldn't have done if you hadn't been accosted at a railway station or bus station by one of these people offering the samples. Public relations activities. This is again links back to what we were talking about in one. Public opinion is very important nowadays, so therefore public relations activities enable an organisation to influence the target audience. Most of the time, public relations campaigns try to create a favourable image of the company, its products and its policies. Companies do news releases, handouts, anything of that nature to announce anything that's going on, any news that they've got, that they will use in many channels. advertising in football grounds, where there's something at least flying around the circuit while you're watching the match, and subliminally you're picking that information up. You're not actually reading what it says on there, but I bet if somebody asks you when you watch the match, what was some of the advertising on there, you'd be able to say. You hadn't actually read it, but the information it's stored in your subconscious just by zooming around the inside of the playing wall while the match is on. So all these are things, are tactics to get the public to recognise we're a good firm, use us, our services are the best, and any information that they can bring to the public. Anything that they do, a lot of supermarkets now, even at local level, get involved in things locally, working with schools or working with the local council, and also any donating or any time that they spend or services that they provide for good causes at zero cost is obviously a good way of absorbing public acknowledgement of what they do. So these, again, are informative sheets, but they're also idea sheets because, again, they will list a number of ways of doing things, and it'll just act as an aid memoir for you. Oh, yeah, I can use that, and then move forward with it. Yeah.
Right.
Slow you down. You go wait a minute. I'm going to look at this one at the bottom because this is often mistaken. Culture in an organisation is rather less than the people in it, but the way it operates, the way the people in the organisation feel about working for it, yeah, whether it feels quick and responsive or old and backward looking, whether it is authoritarian for people that work there, or whether it is completely laissez-faire, where they just let you get on with it. There are a whole host of different things, and there is a list of now of companies that you like. I think we'll list 1 to 10 companies that the public in general feel good about, and also the best firms to work for, and that is becoming also very important now, because attracting, one of the main things with any business that you are running is attracting the right people into it. Quite often you will have a number of people that come to interview, and some may have less qualifications or maybe less qualified for the job, but if you're looking to fit them into a team as an employer, you will be looking, this person's a good fit. You might have somebody with the top qualifications and recommendations and everything else, but the important thing coming through an interview is that they ain't going to fit in this team, because the way they respond to how you're asking the questions is totally different than what you would expect that would fit in with the rest of the group. So it's important that when an employer is looking for people, that he gets the right people. And if he's getting results on the internet and also on social media, that, well, this guy's not a good person to work for, he does this, that, and the other. People get that information now before they actually apply to a company. So obviously the ones with the nicer culture is the one more likely to attract good people. Ooh, I'm out this morning. So looking at culture, one of the ways of looking at this is what it's doing, whether it is role orientated or backward looking, whether it's looking at a powerful management team, whether it's forward looking, whether it's people orientated and task orientated, so that people like to work there, they're forward looking, and they know what they've got to do. Many companies suffer from management that does not give clear information on what is needed. Yeah, it's just a lot of I've seen, worked in companies where managers just sort of said, "I want that doing by then, get on with it," and no support, no further information, not really clear management. It doesn't work, and people usually leave quite quickly. I think I stayed there for, I think it was 4 weeks. But anyway, I digress. But I'm just giving an example of what happens in culture. People like to, looking at the terms of what people like within an organisation, would you be surprised if I told you that the wage or the money came about 5th in the list, 5th list of importance? When you work somewhere, it's important that you feel valued, that you can see that there is somewhere to go, you've got opportunities within the company, and you are supported. Those are the major factors that people look at within when they're working within a company. The wage comes about, as I said, about 5th. So it's very important that you look at that as an employee or a prospective employee. You need to look at that with the company. I've worked in a lot of different companies. I was an engineer before I became a teacher, and I worked for one company for over 30 years. And then, because they moved to France and wanted me to move, and I didn't want to go, I left. But after that, I never stayed anywhere more than 2 years until I found one company where I ended up staying 4 years because I liked it. But then my ethos was to move every 2 years to gain more experience and knowledge, which I did. But that was my choice, yeah, not somebody else's. Power culture firm is a key element. Decisions are made by one or a small number of people and then told to get on with it. Yeah. Power culture is usually found in small organisations or in a sector or department belonging to a large organisation. This is difficult because it's hard to run a large organisation with only a small number of people. It's like a college like ours. We couldn't operate on a power culture. Even though it's only a small company and it's saying on there that would reflect that, we have to have a division of labour. Who does what is very clear, because we wouldn't get everything done otherwise, because we have many of our teachers have got very high qualifications and work in other colleges and some in universities, and they work on a part-time basis, where they're given basically a number of things to do, and they know what they've got to do, and they just get on with it. So it's not like a power culture, but it's not laissez-faire where nobody's bothered. The rules are fairly straight, who does what and when. It's like, again, another example is I'm delivering this unit to yourself. Once this unit's complete, you'll move on to one of the other tutors, and you'll gain experience of different tutor styles and how they operate as well, which gives you further information of how businesses run and how they operate. Yeah. Ultimately, the success of a power culture will depend on the strength of the decisions made. And this is what I've said before. I find that when you've got a power culture, it's a sort of, well, that's it, get it done, take it or leave it, and it doesn't actually work too well.
Yeah.
Role culture, individuals are assigned specific job role. This is how we work. And as well as that, some of the senior management team have several tasks. I will deliver some business qualifications. I will deliver all the teaching qualifications, assessor and IQA qualifications. I only do business ones occasionally because I've been in management for many years. But I usually do this part of the unit, explaining about business and how it works and so forth. One of the other roles is the total quality management within the company. So that is but they are distinct roles, and I work on one and then I work on the other. It's not, the two can't be the two are separate, they're not modulus. It's looking at where you've got specialist roles, and again, this is how I give you that example. I have a specialist role in this particular unit because of my management experience. I teach the teaching qualifications because of my teaching experience, but they are very much role orientated. Yeah, Ramon will teach business, and he also teaches tourism and hospitality because that's another area of his knowledge, area of knowledge he has. We have other tutors that teach IT specifically, and also others that do business as well. So again, they are task and role orientated, very much so. Specialist in sales and marketing. Again, Raman, the owner of the business, he's been in sales and marketing many years before he started the business. Therefore, he's got a lot of experience in that area, and those are the areas that he's spends most time with. Looking at legal compliance, project management and legal compliance. Specialist roles should increase productivity as employees are completing the tasks they are fully trained and experienced to do. And that is a really important factor. I have seen over the last 20 years working in different colleges and different organisations, and you can't understand it really to some extent. In engineering, you were promoted if you could do certain tasks, and you were given any further training you needed to move on to that wider scope if you needed to. What colleges tend to do is take a very good lecturer, and they'll put him into a management position, give him no training whatsoever, and leave him to flounder. And I've found that happen on many occasions in further education, sadly. Hopefully, it's changing now as the roles like here become part-time and you work for many different organisations, especially delivering online like this. In some cases, like yourself, it's one-to-one. In some cases, we might have a group of up to 8 on any particular course.
Right.
So role culture may be unsuitable for some organisations with a small number of employees where everyone needs to take on a variety of tasks. That, again, is partially us because the 3 or 4 of us in the senior management team tend to do about 3 or 4 different roles, because until we expand even further, then we will probably release some of those roles to more employees as we start, as we extend and the more students that we get. Because as the student numbers increase, our task in terms of mine, in terms of quality, and Ramon's in terms of managing the business, will take up more time, and we'll have to employ tutors to actually deliver the work that we were actually doing before. So the roles will change, our culture will change within the organisation as it progresses. Task culture is termed the use of teams who complete tasks. This is mainly larger organisations where they have project teams. They will then be set a particular task, and the staff feel motivated because they know exactly what they've got to do. They're empowered to make decisions for themselves, to move along, and they feel valued because they've been selected for the team. And theirs is a sense of achievement when the team complete a task successfully. It also allows teams to be more creative with problem solving. One of the best examples of that I can give you is that recently London has had a new crossrail service built underground, a massive project in terms of cost and time. It's broken up into sections, and sections are given projects. And one project is digging a shaft that's got to complete with a tunnel underneath. A railway station's got to be built. Parts have got to be built for that railway station. There are a whole host of things where it's broken down into specific projects, and each of those projects will have a set timescale and the budget, and the project manager involved then has to work very closely with his team to make sure that they all achieve, and that is how that sort of operation can function and come back at least not always on budget, but certainly they're usually not far out on time. So that's task culture. Person culture, organisations focus on people working with the organisation. They rely on specialist knowledge of the workforce. Person cultures are found in organisations where there are opportunities for employees to develop their career skills. Examples include universities where staff can continue their education through their employment. Person cultures include legal and accountancy firms where the organisation is selling a specialist skill of or its staff. It creates a need for staff to undergo continuous professional development. Teachers do that on a regular basis. Most of us have a CPD plan each year. Even me, at my extended age of 74, do have a CPD plan. One of the things I do is to make sure that I am up to date with the awarding bodies' changes in courses or in terms of what the requirements are, and they run sort of one-day courses here and there to give this information out so that people are up to date. And my CPD plan is usually around that sort of thing now, so that I am up to date with any or all of the changes that are going to be made, so that I can reflect those in the way we operate here. So again, that is people being supported in moving forward. One of the things I said, that universities and colleges do not all have a person culture, because as I've said, they miss out on the bit that they can achieve most with, and that's additional training. Forward-looking, entrepreneurial. All small businesses you could look at are in this situation. However much it changes, they get bigger. Without that forward-looking culture and to some extent entrepreneurial, they've got to try things and see if they work to expand. And in that first 3-4 years of any small business, if it wants to grow, it's got to look forward and look at how they can bring in more income into the company. And that is maybe looking at different ways of bringing income streams into the company by doing things that are not the total focus, but will allow them to do. They'll bring the sort of funding in that will allow them to do things that they want to do and to achieve the goals that they set out to do. This one, backward looking, does not embrace change, whereas the other one above is all about embracing change and making change where you need to. If you don't make changes or external things happen within an organisation, it can lead to it closing quite quickly. I worked for a college that was a Tier 4 college that relied on students coming in from abroad on visas. The government changed the rules on visas drastically in 2013-14, and the college closed in 2015 because they didn't look at changing the way they operated by bringing students in rather than just bringing them in from abroad. Because obviously, as soon as those restrictions were put on visas, the supply of students dropped drastically. And again, they didn't do anything about it. So, yeah, lack of risk taking, lack of flexibility, yeah, especially in organisations of public service, organisations, but can be the reason why long-standing commercial business is suddenly going to administration. Just the example I gave you there, then that's the sort of thing that you've got in terms of the effect that the culture within an organisation can operate. So yeah, that's the end of that one. What I want to go back to now, just before we look at that, is the marketing booklet. You're quite happy with finishing off the extensions for the first task, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry? I missed that response. You're quite okay with these extension activities for task 1, yeah?
Well, task 2, you mean?
Sorry?
You mean task 2?
No, I said you'd still got these extension activities to finish for task 1, haven't you? Yeah, you're quite happy with that. You're okay with that, are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So just running over task 2 again.
Yeah.
It's a producing a marketing booklet that can be distributed to small businesses in the local area. It's got to have an explanation of the function of marketing and how it is different from selling, a description of the purpose of a marketing plan and marketing objectives.
So basically, the booklet, I can download it from internet just to make my own information.
Yeah, any template you want to use is fine. But then your booklet has got to contain these things, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, so you can put on the front page, you can use a template from the net anywhere, yeah? Say marketing booklet or whatever, but the information inside that you put inside is an explanation of the function and how it's different from selling, a description of a marketing plan and marketing objectives, an explanation of the differences between internal and external data and information, and an explanation of the differences between primary and secondary information. Yeah. So I think today we'll leave it there on allow you to finish those off, and by all means, any work that you've already done that you want some feedback on, just put it into learner work, and it'll come to me, and I will deal with it as soon as I get it. Really, yeah, and I'll send you some feedback on that. You use let me move that out of the way again. Do you use? I think I asked you this last week. You're conversant with review, are you, in Word?
What do you mean?
Right. When you send me a piece of work in, yeah, I will read through it, and I click on review here, which allows me to put a window at the side here, yeah, with the information on that. It will say anything from you need to look at such and such a thing on a such and such thing or needs to be added here, or it may say excellent, good, that's fine, and you can move on from there. You know that's achieved, yeah. So I will use review on there, and when I send it back to you, it will have these bubbles at the side at the various points with some either information that you need to look at, or it will just say good, excellent, fine, done, job done. What I will then do when the unit's complete, I will then give you a formal assessment of the work with and saying that it's achieved, well done, etc. And that will then go back into learner work as when it's completed, and will stay there until you've completed the rest of your units, and then you've got the full qualifications already been assessed. Right. It will then have to come back to me, except for this unit, because I can't quality assure my own work. It will then come back to this unit, and either Raman or one of the others will do the IQA on this one. And once that's done, your qualification is complete. That's how it works. So it's piece by piece, we put it together, put it in. So you, as soon as you've got the first task done, just send it, or even before then, just send it through to me and I'll send you the feedback in that format. But then at the end, as I said, when you finish the unit, I'll give you a formal assessment on there showing where it's complete and why it's complete. Is that okay?
Yep. Sure.
Have you got any questions before we go today?
No, I haven't. No, thank you.
Yeah. Okay then. I will speak to you again next week.
All right. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, same to you. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.